What's going on, you guys? It's Logan here with Logan's Lessons, back at it with yet another guitar tutorial for you. Today we're checking out Heat Waves by Glass Animals. In this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you the exact way the song is played on the record. If you are a beginner, however, and you would like an easier way to play this song, I will be uploading a guitar tutorial for you shortly. If it is already out, you can check it out up here. If not, then hit that bell icon so that you know when it comes out. Real quick before we get into it, I just wanted to mention that I do offer private one-on-one Skype, Zoom, FaceTime, etc. online guitar lessons, and I'm willing to give you your first lesson for free, as like a free trial of sorts. If that's something that you would be interested in, my email will be down in the description box below. Without any further ado, let's jump into it. You are watching Logan's Lessons. Our guitar is going to be in standard tuning, no capo is necessary. We're going to start by putting our first finger on the 11th fret of our D string. This is going to be our first shape, by the way. Then we're going to bar the 12th fret of your B and high E strings with your third finger, your ring finger. The picking pattern for this stays consistent throughout the entire song. Your thumb is going to be on the root note, in this case on the D string. Then your first finger is going to be on the B string, and then your middle finger on the E. So you have your thumb, first, middle, first. Then we're just going to change the shape over on your left hand. You're going to put your first finger on the 9th fret of your D string, your pinky on the 12th fret of your B string, and your third finger, your ring finger, on the 11th fret of your high E string. So far we have. Okay, so then the third shape, you're going to put your first finger on the 11th fret of your A string, your third finger on the 13th fret of your G string, and your middle finger on the 12th fret of your B. The picking pattern will stay the same, but everything comes up a string. So you have your thumb on the A string, your first finger on the G string, and your middle finger on the B. All together so far we have. We have one last chord for the intro of the song. For that last chord, we're going to slide down our first and our third fingers down to the 9th and 11th fret, respectively. Then instead of your middle finger being on the 10th fret, what you're going to do is you're going to take your pinky finger and put it on the 11th fret of your B. Those four chords make up the intro. They also make up the first half of the verse chord progression, which we will get to in a second. First, let's make sure we nail that intro. So play it with me. Again. So now the only difference between that and the verses and the choruses too, actually, you're just going to add 4 more chords to that. So you're going to start with a. It's where we go from here that makes the difference. So then what's going to happen is you're just going to slide this exact same shape down 2 frets so that your first finger is on the 7th fret. Then we do what you should remember as the second chord of this song. Okay, so that's your first finger on the 9th fret of your D string, your pinky finger on the 12th fret of your B string, and your third finger on the 11th fret of your high E string. This next chord is interesting because it is the same thing as our first chord, but we'd use a different voicing. The way I like to accomplish that is by coming from this chord, we're going to want to make sure that this finger is barring the 9th fret. That will make our transition into the next chord easier, the one with the new voicing, remember? All you're going to have to do is you're going to have to take your middle finger off of the 11th fret of your E string and put it on the 11th fret of your D string. And you're going to play the D, G, and B strings in the same pattern. Okay, so we're coming from. Then you take your third finger up and you put it on the 11th fret of your D string. Alright, so our first 3 chords are. then our very last chord for the verses and the chorus is simply this chord that we already learned. We're going to be putting our first finger on the 9th fret of our A string, our third finger on the 11th fret of our G, and our pinky on the 11th fret of your B. In its entirety, the verses and the chorus of the song will sound like this. And that repeats. So then there's only 2 other parts of the song, and both of them you could consider bridges. The first bridge is a really quick thing right after the second verse, going into the chorus. Then after that chorus is what I would consider the actual bridge. The first bridge is quite simple, just 4 chords. You should probably already know them by now, but in case not, I'll spell them out for you. You have an E major chord. To get an E major chord, you're going to be putting your middle finger on the 2nd fret of your A string, your third finger on the 2nd fret of your D string, and your first finger on the 1st fret of your G string. Should sound like that. Then immediately after that, we're going up to the D sharp minor chord. You're going to achieve this chord by putting your first finger on the 6th fret of your A string, your third finger on the 8th fret of your D string, your pinky finger on the 8th fret of your G string, right under your middle finger, your pinky finger on the 8th fret of your G string, right under your third finger, and your middle finger right on the 7th fret of your B string. All of these chords are just going to be strummed out once, by the way. So we have a E major to D sharp minor to a G sharp minor, which is going to be achieved by barring your 4th fret of all of your strings and then putting your third finger down on the 6th fret of your A string and your pinky right under that on the 6th fret of your D string. Should sound like that. Then an F sharp major chord, which we will achieve by sliding this G sharp minor down 2 frets and then putting your middle finger down on the 3rd fret of your G string. Okay, it should sound like that. So the first bridge will be an E major chord to a D sharp minor chord to a G sharp minor chord to an F sharp major. That's how you play the first bridge. So for the second bridge of the song, we're going to be starting on an E major chord as well. You're just going to be staying on it for twice as long as we did in the first bridge. Then we're going up to our F sharp major chord, which was the last chord of our first bridge. Then to a G sharp minor chord, which was the 3rd chord of our first bridge. And lastly, a B chord. This is the only chord that we have not touched on yet. You're going to do it by putting your first finger on the 2nd fret of your A string and then barring the 4th fret of your D, G, and B strings. Just sound like that. So far we have an E major chord to an F sharp major chord to a G sharp minor chord to a B. Second time around in the second bridge, it does things a little differently. You're going to do an E major, but half as long as the one that we just did. To an F sharp major chord, to then a G sharp minor chord. All of these are quicker than the first time around. And then a D sharp minor chord. So for the second pass through, we have an E major chord, to an F sharp major chord, to a G sharp minor chord, then to a D sharp minor chord. Okay, let's keep going. We then have an E major chord to an F sharp major chord to a G sharp minor chord to a B. That's like the same thing as the first measure of this bridge. So the entire bridge will sound like this. Okay, my friends, that is how you play the song Heat Waves by Glass Animals. I hope you have found this helpful for you. If you have, please do me a favor and hit that like button and maybe subscribe. There will be more videos like this coming up in the future. I hope you all are well, and that you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful week. You have been watching Logan's Lessons. Peace out, homies.